Welcome to the Unholy Podcast. Join critically acclaimed paranormal investigator and author Doug Owen. Join us every Friday for new episodes. Visit authordougowen.com for much, much more.
Welcome to the Unholy Podcast. I'm Doug Owen, author and paranormal investigator. I take you inside true stories of paranormal encounters, haunted objects, and experiences that defy explanation. From chilling hauntings to real-life accounts of spiritual warfare, we explore it all. Tonight, I'm sharing insights about what to do when you encounter paranormal activity, how to recognize the signs, and how to protect yourself and your loved ones. If you've ever wondered what it's like to face the unexplainable, you're in the right place. And step into the unholy silence. Recognizing paranormal activity. Paranormal activity. It can show up in many forms. Some experience a subtle, fleeting shadow, strange sounds in an empty room, objects out of place. Others are more aggressive, unexplained injuries, voices, or even full apparitions. From my own experience, the first sign is usually a feeling, a sense of being watched, or an uneasy pressure in a room. Many dismiss these as imagination, but often they are precursors to something more dangerous. Children are especially vulnerable. In my story, my daughter was directly targeted. It's critical to recognize the difference between normal fear and signs of something spiritual or paranormal. Pay attention to patterns, timing, and intensity. The more persistent the activity, the more deliberate it is. How do you respond? Well, we'll discuss that in depth here. When you encounter the paranormal, the first rule is always to remain calm. Remember that these entities use fear, confusion, stress, anger, pretty much all of the emotions of the dark side of the force against you. Panic amplifies the energy. You can attract more intense activity and negative activity if you panic. As we discussed before in previous podcasts, document everything. Keep your journal of dates, times, sensations, sightings, audio or video. Those recordings can definitely help. But, equipment isn't always reliable. Technology has its limitations. In extreme situation, I have seen technology fail. Avoid confrontations at first. Sometimes, acknowledgement can escalate the activity, especially if the entity is hostile. As I recommend all the time, protect yourself and your family by removing yourself from the environment whenever possible. Prayers, blessings, faith-based protection can help, though they're not foolproof. Some experiences target the most vulnerable first. And always prioritize safety over heroics. You don't want to become a martyr. You don't want to have an accidental death where everybody talks about you the next day, but you're not around to enjoy it. These are real things, This is serious business when it comes to confronting the paranormal. So, use common sense. Be very, very smart about things. And trust your gut instincts, always. And remember to flee if you feel unsafe or unsure. There's no shame in running away. It's not cowardice. It's being smart. If your gut instinct is telling you that this doesn't feel right or that you feel like you're in danger, it's usually because you are. So, make sure that you're doing the right thing to protect yourself and staying safe. Always stay safe. These, of course, are suggestions for attacks that come to you. These are the house calls that these things make. They visit your domain. They invade your space. I'm not speaking about going out and investigating a site or gathering Friday nights with your paranormal group to go check out the Geyser Grand Hotel in Baker, Oregon. But this is an invasion of your home, and the paranormal will show up. You just need to make sure that you're ready for it. Always prepare, and don't be shocked or alarmed when it comes. Protecting your home and your family. Maintaining a safe home environment is always key. Paranormal activity thrives in areas of vulnerability. Keep your living space clean. I know it's hard for a lot of people. Well lit, also difficult. And organized. Energy, both physical and spiritual, matters. It makes a difference. Negative energy will attract negative things. Many people use protective symbols, charms, or rituals. These can offer some psychological and spiritual support, but the most effective protection comes from awareness and preparation. Recognize your environment, right? Your home, wherever you are if you're under attack. Avoid leaving openings, emotional, psychological, or spiritual, that malevolent forces can exploit. I cannot stress this enough. Children need protection first. Never leave them in a potential unsafe situation alone. Entities can target those who are unaware, so constant vigilance is necessary. Some of my own experiences, my own attack, I was unprepared for the intensity of the attack. At first, I scarcely believed what I was seeing and hearing and sensing. I didn't believe it. First I thought I had gone mad. Then I thought maybe I was drugged, drunk, something. So my personal encounters with malevolent forces have never been positive, let's say it that way. Always seemed to disrupt, always seemed to bother. And I was quite unprepared to see these things, not really knowing what they were. Let me share some of my own experiences here. After moving into what seemed like a normal home, strange things started happening. If you've read my book, The Unholy Silence, you know. Shattered mirrors, doors opening on their own, whispers in the silence. And each event more terrifying than the last. I doubted my sanity at times. Thought maybe I was in a dream state. At one point, I had thought maybe my ex-wife was drugging me. But these things are real. They do affect the living. We don't know exactly what they are, but we do know that we need to be prepared to face them when they come. The attacks weren't random. They targeted my faith, my family, our peace of mind. And as you know, or maybe not, one of the most harrowing experiences involved my daughter, who was unprotected during this particular encounter. I learned the hard way. Preparation and knowledge matter. But even they can only go so far. It was a normal afternoon, normal day. I had guests over at the house, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I had no idea, no hint, no preview that anything supernatural was going to happen. In fact, I was using technology to burn CDs for a Christmas party I was going to have. I was going to burn a couple of discs so we had some music. It seemed to be just another normal day, and my guard was down. I was unprepared for a supernatural attack. Now, at the time, I was a devout Catholic, and I just sprinkled more holy water, said more prayers, and hoped these things would go away. And of course, I called in the Idaho ghost hunters to check out the home and give me their assessment. And of course, I had the home blessed 3 times by the clergy of the Catholic Church, which did in fact seem to make it worse. Was it a matter of faith? Was it a matter of preparation? Was it simply a matter of knowledge? I had no idea that entities or ghosts or spirits or whatever you want to call them were strong enough to affect the world of the living. Oh, you see it in movies and you hear about it through other people's ghost stories. But when it happens to you, you are completely unaware, like a sucker punch to the face. You're not ready for it. The only thing you can do is recoil and kind of blink, shake it off, try and focus, and let your brain process what you've just encountered. Now, I had 2 witnesses that saw this happen, this attack of my daughter, mimicry. They could scarcely believe it themselves. But they were there, middle of the day. And it was very easy for me to feel very alone in the situation because it was my daughter that this was happening to. My family, my home. And I think part of the unholy silence and silence from the church and everything else, I think part of it is that you keep it to yourself. The shame of being haunted, you don't share it. There's no place in polite society for madness or hauntings or anything supernatural to occur. People live their lives. They seek out money, health, love, financial stability, fun, pleasure, try to avoid pain, try to avoid poverty, try to avoid the negative things in life. That's what human beings are focused on. They're not really focused on things beyond human perception, confronting the unknown, or understanding the limits of human perception. So easy to feel alone in these situations. And when it happens to you, if you're not prepared, which I was not, you really don't have a choice but to reset, refocus, and try and figure out the best response, countermeasures, or protection. Documenting and sharing these stories helps, and it helps others. I think it helps others to recognize and survive similar encounters. From my own personal experiences, I've learned a few essential truths. Well, first of all, fear is the enemy. Try to keep calm and rational. Fear will do you in every time. These things feed off of it like candy. They gulp it down. Awareness is your best protection. Pay attention to subtle signs. Look around. Usually there are telltale signs that these things are going to happen. You're going to have a paranormal experience if you look at it. It builds up. As I said in previous podcasts and the blog, document everything. It's not paranoia, it's evidence. If somebody sees you documenting these things feverishly, ignore their judgments. They're not living what you're living through. They may not even believe what you're living through because they're not experiencing it. And even if they are, most people's minds cannot process what they can't understand. If they cannot apply logic to it, they can't understand it. Protect the vulnerable first. Children, pets, those less aware need to be a priority. Those who are incapable of being aware of their surroundings and understanding what's happening, they need to be protected first. So if you're in the middle of a spiritual or supernatural attack, be sure to protect them. And let's talk about silence. That seems to be a recurring theme with my podcasts, with my book, because it's so important, because it's always there. Silence is the final test, sometimes. After intense activity, there may be a lull. There may be silence. But that doesn't mean the threat is gone. These things obviously return many, many times until they get what they want. And their goal seems to be to separate you from your faith, to disrupt and destroy your life, to cause havoc and ruin, to sow the seeds of uncertainty and fear, always negative emotions. Now, keeping with these principles that I've shared with you, they're not guarantees, but they do improve your odds. It'll give you a fighting chance. The old saying, knowledge is power, and you will need power to confront these things. These spirits are around us always. You see them in orbs, and how they're little floaty specks of dust on those cute little television shows. What is it, the Ghost Hunters and other ones like that, where they never really capture any true documentation of anything. They just see a flash of light or a glowing orb, and they seem to hear something the microphones just can't pick up. But there are things out there, things that we can't perceive, and they do not have our best interests at heart. I do not know what they want or what they are, but they seem to want chaos, seem to want to disrupt. My battle ended when I stepped off the battlefield, when I stopped fighting. So did they. When I had lost my faith, put down my sword, put down my crucifix and the rosary beads, then the attack stopped. You don't have to belong to an organization or a religion to protect yourself. You can have faith in the tree out front or the rock outside, or just simply marvel at the beautiful blue sky. You don't have to worship a man on a cross or any type of religious symbolism. You don't have to. You can have your own faith, your own strength, and that will protect you enough. But you have to believe in your own power and ability to withstand the attack and counterattack. So whatever works for you, it's a trial and error. There is no one fits all type scenario here. It is absolutely up to you to prepare yourself, to be vigilant, to stay aware, and protect yourself in your home from these entities. Thank you for listening to the Unholy Podcast. For more stories, insights, and exclusive content, visit authordougowen.com. Remember, sometimes the silence is the most terrifying sound of all. Next week, join me with horror maven Dawn Adams, who is undertaking the Face of Halloween Horror Challenge for charity. This profits the Starlight Foundation for Children, and the chance to get on the cover of Rue Morgue magazine and win a cash prize of $13,000. In addition, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kane Hodder, and Matthew Lillard, celebrities, will be hosting and overseeing the contest. So next week, look out for her. Want to have some talks with her about horror and the unknown, spirits, entities, and we'll talk about a myriad of different subjects. So, until I see you next time, where the unexplainable awaits, just beyond the veil, take care of yourself.
Don't miss new episodes of the Unholy podcast with world-renowned author and host Doug Owen. Dare to explore the supernatural world. For episodes and more, visit authordugowen.com. Be sure not to miss next week's episode as we welcome artist, philanthropist, and Idaho's own dark diva, Dawn Adams.